single most important topic in paper second. This. So जहाँ पे भी हम लोग बोलते हैं single most important topic, वो आपके hot list में होना चाहिए या hit list में होना चाहिए. Isn't it? जो भी most important topic होता है उसका एक अलग notes होना चाहिए, separate, और बिल्कुल याद होना चाहिए. That this perfect होना चाहिए. So perfection, so that if you ask, this is the answer. This way you can optimize your preparation, less study, more gain. So we keep saying by at the end, if you compile this way, most important probable questions, so you can have lots of optimization. Because almost they repeat the questions. UPSC has no option. उसको यही पता है कि जो नए लोग आए हैं उनको ये नहीं पता है. पहला चीज़, पुराने लोग जो है उन्होंने सुधरे नहीं हैं अभी. तो पुराने लोग वही गलती करेंगे. क्वेश्चन कुछ और है, आंसर सेम है. नए लोग को पता नहीं है. ठीक है. So you ask any question, answer remains same. This. So such a mechanical level of answer becomes, right? Okay. It is like people start writing so simplistic, and whether we have become more better or whether students have become more simplistic, many a time this also comes in mind. So this way, let's say, so that is how like a simplistic answer. But every year answer will have some change. Some changes they will do in the let's question also, so answer also demands. It is a topic which demands understanding. Then you can be able to answer the question, including the pending question which we read yesterday, isn't it? No, yesterday, day before yesterday. कल तो क्लास ही नहीं था शायद, isn't it? Anyhow, so Prime Minister office, let's. Now it is a parliamentary democracy, you know. Parliament we have taught, Prime Minister, Council of Minister, Cabinet Secretariat, this all we have taught on that side. Now it is something which is not related to parliamentary democracy, but it has become so important. Yesterday I shared, I guess no, I shared in a different class. Right. So in this we'll share it. It was expected that the Prime Minister, now as we told that the Prime Minister performs dual role. We will try to also compare this White Hall versus White House, then where India stands in this, whether it is a threat to cabinet form of government, the question which was asked, and then whether it undermines cabinet secretariat. So position is like this, let's say, if you have any cabinet minister, this cabinet minister is minister. So let's say Minister of Finance. He has his own secretariat, and he is also a cabinet minister. As a cabinet minister, he gets assistance from कैबिनेट सेक्रेटेरिएट. नो, तो आपको क्या लगता है कि उसको प्रॉब्लम होगा, कंफ्यूजन, कहाँ से सलाह लेना है? Is it like that? Will there be any such problem? There will not be any problem. Right. It is not a problem at all. This. It is clear. As a cabinet, you are supposed to take something else. As a minister, you are supposed to take something else. Like say policy, your ministry has formulated policy. Now policy is placed before cabinet for approval. When policy is placed before cabinet for approval, so policy related, you may be aware about, you will tell to the other cabinet members. But then cabinet members may not get convinced by you, they would try to know by cabinet secretariat. No, the cabinet secretariat, what is the view of cabinet secretary on that? So that way, let's say that the cabinet, when you work as a cabinet, it is in a way, let's say that link pin type you can consider, right? You are a top group, let's say that. It is a top group, you can say. This way we can say, so cabinet secretariat and cabinet, then secretariat, a sort of link pin you can consider. The structure is in this way. Right. So similarly, when PM we have, the PM is head of government or head of cabinet, this, and he is leader of, rather I will write on a separate page. PM. So he is head of the cabinet, head of government. Head of government means head of cabinet. And second, he is leader of the nation. He is the leader of the nation. This, ये समझ में आया नहीं है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. सिंपल ऐसे समझो, by virtue of being prime minister, he performs some functions, right? By virtue of PM. Performed, whether you like it or not, isn't it? Like say कि Manmohan Singh, when Manmohan Singh becomes prime minister, even if Pranab Mukherjee is more important than Manmohan Singh, but since he is a prime minister, so he, by virtue of being prime minister, he will perform some functions, isn't it? This, like he will be ex officio chairman of planning commission. Pranab Mukherjee can be more important, that's a different thing. But he is the ex officio chairman of planning commission. Similarly, as of now, prime minister is so president of Niti Aayog, that will find. So leader of nation, let's say that is how you look towards prime minister. So prime minister has, that day we have wrote it in, leader of the house, chief spokesperson of foreign policy, residual legative will talk, a term is used. So there are, let's say that role and functions which are performed by prime minister just by being virtue of prime minister. So what are those functions? So first is residual legative. Residual legative means any ministry departments which do not fall under any ministry would be going to prime minister. So prime minister can hold all those portfolios which are not held by any such minister. That is how we say residual legative. Right. So he himself heads some of the institutions, some of the departments, like say Department of Space. Department of Space is held by Prime Minister. Since beginning, since Nehru time, that is how the legacy was established. Science and technology was kept away from bureaucracy. That's why it has become innovative. You should know this. So, Nehru kept space, atomic energy away from bureaucracy. They had a direct access. They have direct access to Prime Minister. They should know that. Because Prime Minister is the head, Department of Space, he is the head. ISRO head is scientist. And Department of Space Secretary is ISRO head. This should know. कभी simple time पे ये सब prelims के question होते थे. Right. So, ISRO head is Secretary to Department of Space. Even let's say कि Secretary was also not bureaucrat. Right. So, science and technology were kept away. That's why Prime Minister is also responsible for innovations in the country. Science and technology. Yes. You may not like it. Bureaucracy कैसे innovative नहीं हो सकता, isn't it? Because you are innovative, is it? अभी तक तो लगा नहीं कि लक्ष्मीकांत में क्या innovation हुआ है. So this way we can take like, so some departments are kept by Prime Minister. Plus some institutions are headed by Prime Minister, like say Niti Aayog, National Disaster Management Authority, Interstate Council. ये भी सब question आया है पहले. Right, National Ganga Basin Authority, you know that. So that is also headed by Prime Minister. So there are some institutions headed by Prime Minister. Plus he is the leader of the nation, leader of the house, this you can say. Hence when Prime Minister visits here and there, etc., as he gives his speeches, all these things, they are dealt by Prime Minister office. So this is how you will find the Prime Minister office. Now let's say his role as leader of nation should not become as big as his role as head of cabinet. Can you say? His role as cabinet should always be bigger than his role as leader of nation. Because his main role is head of government, head of the cabinet. And cabinet takes all important decisions. A sort of segregation was there. There is segregation, let's say. There is demarcation of line. Head of cabinet. Or you will keep it separate, the way public servants should keep their public affairs, private affairs separate. Isn't it? We demand in that fashion. That is how it was expected that they should be separate. But two things have happened. One, that when Prime Minister has been very dominant, hence what he has done is, right, or she has done is, if you take A and B, this is B, this is, or let's take like this. So when Prime Minister has been dominant, it has reduced and it has increased. And if Prime Minister has been less dominant, so it has reduced, it has increased. So when it has increased, that is good, but when it has decreased, then it is a threat to your parliamentary democracy. Because parliamentary democracy does not recognize big role of this. Parliamentary democracy recognizes this. Because then cabinet will not take decisions, rather cabinet decisions will be taken by Prime Minister. And then this decision is taken and then simply cabinet becomes a formal body, a rubber stamp you can say. The cabinet becomes the rubber stamp and it becomes. So when principal secretary is also, let's say that, he is a retired functionary basically. His status is Secretary to Government of India. His status is also Secretary to Government of India, but he is a superior functionary. If you compare secretaries, he is a superior functionary and he derives more salary than a secretary. His status is also better than secretary. He is a superior functionary, and we have just told that he is the head of the civil service. Right. He is the head of the civil service. So you should know that it is cabinet secretary who should have importance. He should have importance. He should play important role. But when Prime Minister becomes like this, he also becomes like. Cabinet secretary becomes like. So power shift to principal secretary, which is again, let's say that extraneous development, and hence principal secretary becomes a formal functionary. Right? It undermines entire Indian administration system, because now whether bureaucrats should look towards cabinet secretary or principal secretary. This, and then if principal secretary becomes role models, it is a wrong development. It is against the convention. So that is how it will happen. The one aspect happens, and that is how once it was remarked that it is, let's say that simply it is destruction of Indian administration when principal secretary becomes more important than cabinet secretary. But for what cabinet secretary will have his personality, he will influence civil services, and for what he is head of civil service if he is not given that status. This one. But that is not as serious problem as, let's say that we have written this. So when Prime Minister starts becoming powerful, so power will start shifting from cabinet to PMO. They will tell you that many things are set up in PMO. Right? And then they start taking decision as we told yesterday. Right? Now when PMO will become, so structure is like this. So when PMO becomes big, as we tell that, so what will happen? Their authority will shift basically. Its authority will shift. Right. So Secretariat, their role and function also starts shifting towards this PMO. And Cabinet Secretariat role and function also starts shifting towards PMO. So what will happen? They will not emerge, ministry departments will not emerge as a strong institution. They will not emerge as a strong institution. Rather, they will remain weak. This is a bigger question. Bigger question in the sense it is about system. How to understand, let me tell different way. We have police, defense, military and बीच में आ गए paramilitary. And we glorify paramilitary forces. No country in the world has paramilitary force. Either it has military or police. We are unique always. Right. We are always unique people. So we have paramilitary forces, huge paramilitary forces. Right? तो उसका लॉस क्या है? Yes. पुलिस आपकी कभी स्ट्रांग नहीं होगी. दिस बनियान ट्री तो पता ही है, बताया हमने, अच्छे से बताया है. एक बार जाके देख लेना कभी. So paramilitary force is like banyan tree. Police will never grow. इसलिए कि whenever anything happens, we rush our paramilitary forces, right? And which will overshadow loopholes and weaknesses of police. This. The loopholes and weaknesses of police will not try to address. Rather be overshadowed by sending paramilitary forces. और उनको भी पता है, उनको वो आने वाले हैं, तो आने वाले हैं तो हम क्यों काम करें? नो, दे विल कम. तो पांडे जी बोलेंगे, isn't it? तो उनको भी ये सब पता है, रूल्स ऑफ गेम में वो भी सीख जाते हैं थोड़े दिनों के बाद. जब सीबीआई को इन्वेस्टिगेट करना है तो हमको क्यों बुलाया यहाँ पर? ठीक है, फॉर्मेलिटी के लिए. हम एविडेंस गैदर करें, वो ले जाएंगे, क्रेडिट उनको मिलेगा. जानते, तो क्या करेंगे पांडे जी? एक भी बचना नहीं चाहिए एविडेंस. That is what it is. So you can see movies also, उसमें भी थोड़ा थोड़ा दिखाया जाता है. Right. So this is how the scenario leads. Police is overshadowed by paramilitary forces. We never ask questions. We never ask questions. Why it happened? If someone was there, if this person in Punjab, Amritpal Singh, राइट, अब तो आ रहा है रिपोर्ट, मान लीजिए कि अरेस्ट हो गया है, बट गवर्नमेंट बता नहीं रही है. ठीक है, हो भी सकता है. एनी हाउ, बट द क्वेश्चन इज दैट कि हाउ, व्हाट इफ यू आर सेइंग व्हाट एवर इट इज ट्रू, सो इट डिड नॉट हैपन इन वन डे. एनीथिंग डज नॉट हैपन इन वन डे. डू वी आस्क क्वेश्चन टू पंजाब पुलिस? नेवर वी आस्क क्वेश्चन. Do we make them answerable? Never we make them answerable. Already you know that drug addiction happened in Punjab. This. When drug addiction happened, then we came to know. We means national level. Then there has been drug addiction. All entire Punjab is drugged. This. Right. Udta Punjab. यस, तो किसी ने उड़ता पंजाब बनाया मूवी, पंजाब बोलता है नहीं, इट विल बी लेट्स से दैट की इंसल्ट टू आवर इमेज, एनी हाउ. तो आई से जनरली डूबता पंजाब बना दो. ठीक है, उड़ता पंजाब अच्छा तो है, उड़ रहा है. नो, ड्रग लेने के बाद लोग उड़ते ही हैं. Isn't it? When people take drug, right? They are all together in a different world, right? Right. But that's not the point. Already I have shared another police story also. If not in Law and Order, will share you. Police is, sorry to say that, police is a highly incapable institution. Even if it is doing whatever, it is salutable. This you should know that. Whatever it is doing with that poor capacities, it is salutable, but it lacks all sort of things. This, how you will know? Budget of Kerala is equal to police budget of New York. So you can imagine, right? New York police budget. This हमारे यहाँ पहले पैसा सब चला जाता है जब बजट बनता है तो, राइट, बाद में पुलिस आता है, राइट, तो उसको बजट एलोकेशन होता है नहीं. This way you understand. So similarly, let's keep when Prime Minister office, when anything happens, let's say if ministries are not able to work efficiently, then it generally happens that Prime Minister office intervenes. Intervention means they will try to take away that role. This, how will understand? Let's say centralized biometric system. The first biometric system was introduced at ministry level, but it failed. Then government introduced a centralized biometric system. There is high level of centralization. Now it is Prime Minister office which is monitoring the employees of all central government employees. So basically it will increase your role, which is not your role. So you will, in PMO you will set up all those nuances of the office. All the office expansion will be there because you have to monitor it, and it is a very procedural thing. Automatically it will increase your role. This direct benefit transfer. So local people do not take initiative. If any problem happens at local level, and payment has not come yet, anything, and if person goes and talk to Pradhan, right, my, let's say that fund has not come, Pradhan what says? Right, Sarkar se pucho. Right. This, so they will start getting alienated. Right. मोदी जी से पूछो, हमारे पास क्यों आया? Right. Because funds are being managed direct benefit transfer. So it has benefit, but it is alienating also people. This, it results into a sense of alienation. And when it will have alienation, the people will not associate themselves. When people will not associate, they will not take initiatives. It has its pros and cons, this is how we can say. So that is how we can, in case of Prime Minister office, generally what has happened, we are young democracy. Young democracy born 70 years, and when the journey started just after such a short journey of, let's say, over 10-15 years, Lal Bahadur Shastri came and he started shifting power from Secretariat to Prime Minister office, and rest is history. So we did not allow our ministry departments to take a proper route, and we did not strengthen ministry departments. Rather strong Prime Minister, so Indira Gandhi came, you know that, we'll tell you what happens. Rajiv Gandhi came, thereafter coalition era came. The coalition era itself is a weak era, you know that. In that, although we say it is democratic, so cabinet secretariat dignity is restored. But again, let's say thereafter you have experienced this prime ministerial government. Again, there is a shifting of power from ministry departments to PMO. In fact, you should know that when Prime Minister is dominant, they generally appoint weak ministers. Right. So that dabdaba bana rahe. Sorry to say. So the leader, let's say that. So when Prime Minister is dominant, other ministers are very weak, or let's say that they may not deserve to have that portfolio. You know that our HRD ministry was held by the person whose degree was questionable. Right. Smriti Shakti Irani. Right. No. So where does we say that generally whether she has any vision for education? आप बोल सकते हो कि है, I will accept it, कोई problem नहीं. Right. Isn't it? So, but HRD ministry, let's say education, right? So you need to have, that is how it results, when Prime Minister becomes strong, ministers become weak and they will not take initiative. All initiatives will come from Prime Minister. Ultimately what will happen? All initiatives will come from one leader, and all other leaders are नो. अब तो आपकी फैमिली में भी ऐसा नहीं होता है, वैसे भी उन लोगों का फैमिली नहीं है तो उनको क्या पता. आपके फैमिली में ऐसा होता है, बोलते हो ना, मम्मा आई एम आल्सो ग्रोन अप. No, you cannot ignore me. Right. How can you take decision? At least you should have told. No. This. अभी नहीं है ऐसा. दिल्ली से जाने के बाद ऐसा करना. Isn't it? ताकि उनको लगेगा कि हाँ अब कुछ प्रिपरेशन हो रहा है. बच्चा लायक है एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर बनना का है ना जन. Anyhow, that is what you will find this. So that way you should understand the relationship basically. Although in hindsight if you take, or in short term if you say, it seems to be good. There is a leadership of Prime Minister, there is growth, development, initiative. But when you see something in long run, let's say that you start facing challenges. Right? Because a system is not developed. We still do not have a system, rather we have persons running the system. System should run persons rather than persons running system. And that is possible only when you have a robust system. Your system is good. Right? If persons will run the system will remain effective as long as persons are effective. But if system is strong, even if it will have weak people, it will survive. This you can learn by a company. If a company has a system, like say Tata's, if it has a system, it can run several generations, even if it has weak leaders. But if a company does not have a system, so it will not survive. Because it cannot always get good leaders. That is what we have to understand. So, it happens at union level. Prime Minister and when they become dominant, so this is how they start shifting powers. But it has not happened at state level. The same thing has not happened at state level. Is just opposite. It is Whitehall model. Right. So at state level we have a state secretariat from the very beginning. State secretariat. And state secretariat, this is how they establish, the legacy established. The state secretariat has chief secretary. Chief secretary. So we don't have principal secretary, we don't have cabinet secretary, here chief secretary. And chief secretary and they assist chief minister, cabinet. They both get this assistance. There is no separate cabinet secretariat at the state level. And there is no separate chief minister office at the state level. It has been let's say from the very beginning that happened, because Lal Bahadur Shastri started. But at the state level there is no one chief minister. So largely let's say that the chief ministers when they came, so they relied on state secretariat and this chief secretary. Therefore it remains very strong. Even if you have a strong chief minister, but he relies on, some chief ministers have tried at times to become unconventional by establishing separate, but उसके लिए पैसा चाहिए. इतना आसान नहीं है ऑफिस सेट करना, isn't it? You need office building, you need functionaries. How functionaries, center के पास तो unaccounted पैसा है, isn't it? Consolidated Fund of India. So that way you should know that. The center may have unaccounted, let's say that fund, but it's not that. it is difficult to set up a separate office. Right. And even if suppose a chief minister has set up, the new chief minister comes and he may not like it because it was set up by the past chief minister. Since it was set up by the past chief minister, it will be legacy of that chief minister. Right. Therefore, obviously, he will not. Right. Rather, he will like state secretariat. Hence, that way, state secretariat has got its root. It becomes strong, and that is how now it has become so strong that a chief minister, even if he wants, he cannot create CMO. The power center will remain here in one institution. This is Whitehall model. Same thing is Whitehall. Whitehall model in UK. The secretariats are so strong that irrespective of who the prime minister is, he comes and goes, but secretariat remains. He will not make his office strong, and therefore they will try to improve their functions. Right. Prime Minister will try to improve functions of secretariat rather than functions of prime minister office. So therefore they will take most of the initiatives, so they will become strong. So that has happened. Means if a ministry is not able to solve a problem, the solution lies in making that ministry better rather than shifting that power to. This is to know that. At times it has happened, so we'll talk. Various types of advisory councils are created in either Prime Minister office or in Cabinet Secretariat. You have Scientific Advisory Council also you have. There is Scientific Advisory Council. ठीक है, ये और बात है कि ये Cabinet Secretariat में है. Economic Advisory Council. Have you heard Economic Advisory Council? It is located in Ministry Prime Minister office. भाई तो क्या फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर से इकोनॉमी नहीं चल रहा है? Anyhow, the day you appoint Economic Advisory Council in Prime Minister office, it questions the authority of Finance Minister. This is to know that. So because economic advisor, so certainly there is a separate economic advisor. It will create two power centers. So that is how it results. Plus various other things that we create. So that way, let's say basically there will be two power centers, not one power center. Right. And that is how it is, let's say, considered not a right practice. And it is not about balancing act. You don't have to write that there should be a balancing act. We should give primacy to Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretariat rather than Prime Minister office and principal. Although they should also exist, but primacy should be to Cabinet Secretariat and Cabinet Secretary as per the conventions of parliamentary democracy. At the same time, you need to establish a system of governance rather than a person-specific based system. And White House is the model of Prime Minister office. This is another. The rise of PMO resembles White House, not Cabinet Secretariat. Why? Because White House is the office of President, and President is the main decision maker, and therefore let's say, and it is dominant style of decision making. One person dominates. So when we say White House versus Whitehall, this is how it is about presidential versus parliamentary system. This, and that is what we have to deal about this Prime Minister office. Let's write on this. Prime Minister office. Prime Minister office was created in 1950 as a staff agency. To assist Prime Minister as a leader of the nation. Initially it was a small body. But over a period of time, due to emergence of, over a period of time, due to emergence of the prime ministerial government, it even emerged as Government of India. As most of the decisions started routing through PMO. Most of the decisions started routing through PMO rather than cabinet and cabinet secretariat. Administratively, it is change in paragraph. Administratively, it is headed by principal secretary, and its political head is Prime Minister. Role and functions. It works as secretariat to Prime Minister. When Prime Minister perform his role as leader of the nation. When Prime Minister performs his role as leader of the nation, as mentioned above. Leader of the nation, as mentioned above. Let's see. Evolution of Prime Minister office. In bracket, whether Prime Minister office rise and fall depends on personality of Prime Minister. That's like cabinet secretariat, its origin is also linked to Governor General's Executive Council. Governor General Executive Council. After independence, it was named as Prime Minister's Secretariat. Its evolution is as follows. First, Nehru era. Since Prime Minister was a democratic person, he gave more primacy to he gave more primacy to cabinet and cabinet secretariat. Cabinet and cabinet secretariat. Prime Minister's Secretariat played a very marginal role. Very marginal role. Next, Lal Bahadur Shastri. Lal Bahadur Shastri. It is his era which gave rise to significance of Prime Minister's Secretariat. Prime Minister's Secretariat, which was the beginning of rise of PMO. Beginning of rise of PMO. PMO. Next, Indira Gandhi. Indira Gandhi. Due to prime ministerial characteristics, PMO experienced unprecedented rise. That it was equated with Government of India. It was equated with Government of India. Equated. It was equated with Government of India. As most of the decisions came through PMO. Most of the decisions came through PMO. The three bureaucrats who played important role तो ये कुछ और नाम है दीपक रावत के अलावा. झा लोग वैसे भी बहुत पावरफुल होते हैं. If you belong to Bihar, people in Bihar, those who belong to Jha, they are very popular, very powerful. Isn't it? Anyhow, so L.K. Jha, he was principal secretary in Lal Bahadur Shastri time also and continued in Indira Gandhi time also. And I have already told, I guess, that he was the person representing India, right, in NPT negotiation across the table. The other side, US President and USSR President. And this is how bureaucrat is powerful. L.K. Jha. And they were so powerful that foreign secretary and foreign minister regretted. Because when Indira Gandhi visited, had any foreign visit, L.K. Jha accompanied rather than foreign secretary. So they were the mentor, guide, friend, philosopher. आपको जो बोलना है बोलो. This is how I can say in Prime Minister office, all three are bureaucrats. So know that. So first LK's had, then P.N. Haskar, then P.C. Alexander. P.C. Alexander has also written a book, My Days with Indira Gandhi. It is named, let's say, My Days with Indira Gandhi. So this way you can consider. Saying Government of India is enough, इससे बड़ा क्या term हो सकता है? Isn't it? So you say it became like Government of India, so it is enough. Biggest rise. Already you know the emergency, etc., etc. We don't have to tell. The PMO started seeing it such rise, and those bureaucratization happened, you know that. This is what we can say. Let's write Janta government. Janta government. It tried to reduce the significance of Prime Minister's Secretariat. It tried to reduce the significance of Prime Minister's Secretariat. Prime Minister's Secretariat by taking following two steps. By taking following two steps. Step 1, STEP. Step 1. Its name was changed. Its name was changed from Prime Minister's Secretariat to Prime Minister's Office. Office. Second, it was given status of a department. It was given status of a department. Therefore, it tried to restore the image and dignity of Cabinet Secretariat. It tried to restore the image and dignity of Cabinet Secretariat. लेकिन ना तो इमेज बचा ना डिग्निटी बचा. फिर इंदिरा गांधी, बट बार बार हम 2 बार नहीं लिखेंगे, एक ही बार काफ़ी है. So Indira Gandhi, let's say, again she came, you know that. So whether you change its name, office कर दो, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? So officially, legally, let's say that Cabinet Secretariat is a superior department, superior body than Prime Minister Office. Officially, legally, because office is a small connotation, secretariat has a broad connotation. This within secretariat you can have different offices. The secretariat term has a broad connotation, and office has a small connotation. This, but it does not change. Let's say Indira Gandhi came again, and then her legacy was continued by Rajiv Gandhi. So as expected. Next. Rajiv Gandhi time. So Rajiv Gandhi era. Rajiv Gandhi era. There was further expansion of PMO. Further expansion of PMO and its dominance in decision making. Dominance in decision making. Decision making. Technocrats were appointed. Technocrats were appointed for bringing change and innovations. Bringing change and innovation. Hence, PMO also got characterized by technocracy. PMO also got characterized by technocracy, including Doon Brigade. Doon Brigade. D-O-O-N. Doon Brigade. B-R-I. दून ब्रिगेड. दून ब्रिगेड कौन है? दून brigade means his colleagues in Doon school. They had also grown up. So Sam Pitroda, Marishankar Iyer. So some of his, let's say, colleagues in Doon school, they had also grown up. They were brought in PMO. Yes. They were basically technocrats. They were. That is how this telecom revolution starts. Telecom revolution starts during that time. Liberalization starts during that time. So these things happen. Let's say credit. Let's say because Rajiv Gandhi believed in more and more, right? Science and innovations. This young leader. This is all fine. This, but it resulted into again unprecedented rise. Let's write next. Coalition era. Coalition era. 1989 to 2014. 1989 to 2014 due to coalition politics. It's due to coalition politics. The government had characteristics of weak executive. Characteristics of weak executive and hence cabinet secretariat played more important role than Prime Minister office. That is, the role of PMO became less important. However, even in coalition era, it did not get completely overshadowed. Rather, due to changes and emergence of new governance challenges. The role of Prime Minister increased. Like during Vajpayee time, Brijesh Mishra as principal secretary once again became very dominant. He was considered as second most powerful person in the government. Second most powerful person in the first count. Prime Minister? No. LK Advani. प्राइम मिनिस्टर ही हो गया और कौन होगा? मिश्रा जी लोग बहुत पॉपुलर हैं, isn't it? So मिश्रा झा छोड़ा ही नहीं प्राइम मिनिस्टर को. अब इधर से नृपेंद्र मिश्रा, isn't it? वैसे भी मिश्रा लोग ही ज़्यादा टॉप करते हैं यूपी में, तो अगर आपका टाइटल कुछ और है तो चेंज कर लो। Once in UP, right? Largely, let's say that they dominated in top rank. So people ran a rumor that favoritism. Right. But largely, let's say they dominate the society. Anyhow, whatever you say, but Brahmins still dominate. Right? Because they have for centuries, they have got knowledge, isn't it? For centuries. Others are just, they have started like Haryana के लोग अब पढ़ना शुरू किए हैं. So, with due respect to Haryana, right? तभी एक जाट सम्मेलन हुआ था जयपुर में, राइट? दिस जाट सम्मेलन, ब्राह्मण सम्मेलन आल्सो. अच्छा, लगता है अटेंड करना पड़ेगा. Anyhow, so Brijesh Mishra was, you can consider the most brainiest civil servant of his time. This, उनके जैसा कोई brainy नहीं था. He was so brainy, so intelligent, so knowledgeable, that Indo-US nuclear deal, negotiations, success, credit goes to Brijesh Mishra. This is. And that, let's say that his personality is so dominant that even after change in the government, like NDA government, UPA came to power, since Indo-US nuclear deal was finalized in 2007. So even UPA government came to power, but behind curtain, it was Brijesh Mishra who was helping the government. This, although government had a different principal secretary. Yes, that is how Brijesh Mishra. Even in the coalition era, you know that the position filed, office is filed, it has remained relevant. Other things will talk why, what are those developments and challenges that the Prime Minister has become more important and Prime Minister office has become more important. That also will talk, but let's write next. Right? Present Prime Minister. Present Prime Minister. क्या हुआ? So, present Prime Minister. Since 2014, once again, the rise of PMO resembles Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi era. Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi era of prime ministerial government, that it has seen its expansion, bureaucratization, and shifting of decisions from ministry departments, to Prime Minister office. That following developments manifest rise of PMO. Rise of PMO or centralization of power. Rise of PMO or centralization of power. Right. Centralization of power. First, a centralized biometric system. A centralized biometric system. Next, creation of Niti Aayog in PMO. Creation of Niti Aayog in PMO. PMO. Next, new empanelment system and performance appraisal. New empanelment system and performance appraisal. Performance appraisal 360 degree. 360 degree located in PMO. Located in PMO. Next, project monitoring. Project monitoring unit. Project monitoring unit for timely completion of projects. Timely completion of projects. Completion of projects. Japanese cell. Japanese cell. Japanese cell for monitoring cell, CLL. Japanese cell for monitoring investment from Japan. Investment from Japan. Economic Advisory Council. The last is Economic Advisory Council. Change paragraph. It is not about number of units. It is not about number of units. Rather. It is not about number of units, rather. Style of functioning of Prime Minister. Style of functioning of Prime Minister. Prime Minister. That becomes more important. More important that whether it is democratic or authoritarian. Authoritarian. In fact, Niti Aayog has become a de facto government. Niti Aayog has become a de facto government. De facto government. Although it is a staff agency. Although it is a staff agency. Although it is a staff agency, as all policies of the ministry departments need a green signal of Niti Aayog. A green signal of Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog. So that is how we will find, we told in case of line and staff concept, how staff agencies encroach upon line agencies because they are close to line agency functionary, Prime Minister. So it is not about how many units you write, how many developments you write in PMO, rather it is the style of functioning. And you know the style of functioning, Cabinet Committee has only 2 members. That is itself telling. When Niti Aayog is located, Planning Commission was not located in Prime Minister office. It was an independent department. But Niti Aayog is located in Prime Minister office. And Niti Aayog has become a spokesperson of Prime Minister. So when we'll teach Niti Aayog, then you can establish the link, what we are trying to say here. When you understand about Niti Aayog, when you understand the difference between Niti Aayog, Planning Commission, and what are the flaws of Niti Aayog, what are the strengths of Niti Aayog. This. So that way we can see, so basically we can depict like this. Don't draw like this, simple harmonic motion. When you forget that, then you can do that. This, it is very simplistic. या जिसको कुछ नहीं आता है वो कर सकता. So when you are not able to write the evolution in such details, use graphical representation. In any paper you can do that. That will summarize itself without using much words, isn't it? This. And in paper second it is needed more than paper one. This, because paper second, as I say, it is very challenging. Let's write next. So basically this is how we'll find. So what we find? We'll find that the Prime Minister, as we told yesterday, strong executive. So when we have a strong executive, generally we have rise of Prime Minister. And when we have weak executive, there is fall of Prime Minister office. This you can see. It is associated with personality of Prime Minister, style of functioning. So let's write on this. The above evolution shows that. The above evolution shows that. The above evolution shows that when there has been a strong executive, when there has been a strong executive, PMO has experienced its rise. PMO has experienced its rise like Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi and present Prime Minister. Present Prime Minister. And therefore it can be linked to, therefore it can be said that rise and fall of PMO, rise and fall of PMO is associated with personality of Prime Minister. Is associated with personality of Prime Minister. Prime Minister. Personality of Prime Minister. However, it is not only personality, but also increase in significance of first leadership at helm, HELM. किसी का नाम नहीं लिखना है, इन साहब को लाना है, ठीक है? So let's second, bold and beautiful reforms, bold and radical reforms. Bold and radical reforms. Innovations and transformations. Next, tackling emerging global challenges. Including national security. Change paragraph. That's why even during coalition era, the significance of Prime Minister office did not completely decline. In fact, in coalition era, several such attached offices or departments were set up in PMO during NDA and UPA time. Like Scientific Advisory Council, like National Innovation Council, Scientific Advisory Council, National Innovation Council, National Advisory Council, next Project Monitoring Unit, Therefore, from today's perspective, it can also be added that the present scenario present scenario makes the role of Prime Minister important not only in governance of the country but also in the context of international politics, and geopolitical changes. International politics and geopolitical changes. So that is how, as of now, let's say. So it can be that the Prime Minister office is related to personality of Prime Minister and his leadership. Prime Minister can be, let's say, dominant type or domineering type or let's say authoritarian type. But at the same time, if you see, even during coalition era, be it Manmohan Singh time, Vajpayee time, so these things were set up during their tenure. When we say that Cabinet Secretariat enjoyed its better status than Prime Minister office, but National Advisory Council was set up in Prime Minister office. Innovation Council was set up in Prime Minister office. Project monitoring units have been set up in their, let's say, this Scientific Advisory Council you find, Economic Advisory Council you find, so they are in Prime Minister office. Why? Because the role of Prime Minister has become important. Challenges have become more, let's say, more challenges that you have. So those challenges, as we say, internationally the leadership of Prime Minister has become more important. Be it, let's say, geopolitical scenario you can say, or let's climate change you can say. So whatever the geopolitical scenario which are shifting, changing, when they are changing, you need a strong leader. Or even if a leader is not strong inside the country, but he has to have a strong posture outside. Isn't it? So leader will have to have, let's say, the internationally role has changed, right? Then so many challenges you will find, the administrative reforms. Yesterday also we told about security etc. challenges they have increased. The security challenges, administrative reforms, those things you will find. At the same time you need to have ease of doing business. And that again demands lots of reforms. And hence Prime Minister cannot stop himself but to intervene in such situations. So there can be, let's say, scenario because other leaders may not be as much concerned. No. Other leaders may be concerned, but the leader or the captain is more concerned. This. So this way we can consider. So from that perspective, we will see even if Cabinet Secretariat has its own role, relevance, but at the same time, Prime Minister office is here to stay. Right. It will not be, let's say, reduced to something that it has no any importance. It will play important role. Like say project monitoring units. So project monitoring units have been set up simply because our projects are running late. So when projects are running late, so there was a time that you keep saying to your ministers this, that, you do this. Then a time comes that then enough is enough. So in Manmohan Singh time, let's say UPA tenure, 1,000 crore plus projects were brought under Prime Minister. Prime Minister will directly monitor, means PMO will directly monitor those projects. And the same thing has happened under Prime Minister, present Prime Minister. Because many projects are running late. So when projects are running late, but government is known for speed and efficiency. It has come on that promise. It does not want that the projects should run late. And that is why, let's say, they want to directly, so Prime Minister office directly want to have a look on that. That has resulted into, again, let's say, PPP projects monitoring has gone to Prime Minister office. So that way we can consider. So this way you should see, means we can justify, but it is not good. This you should know. Ideally it is not good. This, it is a transition, short term. You cannot have two power centers. You know that what will happen to two power centers. You develop one center. Even there was an article which said that you merge both, create one. Very radical article. Only one article written on PMO versus Cabinet Secretariat in last 10 years, as far as, let's say, my reading is concerned. Right. So, one article was written, right? Someone wrote, maybe ex-Cabinet Secretary. So, the article was so radical that it says you cannot have two power centers, you merge. Either you have Cabinet Secretariat or you have PMO, right? Not two, because it does undermines, let's say, authority, because there will be continuous friction also. Friction का चाहिए मैटर कहाँ जाएगा, कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी को जाएगा या पीएमओ को जाएगा, right? Isn't it? So you will be in a this dilemma, and that will result into delay. जब पता ही है कि पीएमओ से ही पॉलिसी को डिसाइड करना है, तो this is how पांडे जी, why he will take pain. This, isn't it? Let's take that else also. So let's write next, rise of PMO and how does it affect, rise of PMO and how does it undermine, rise of PMO and how does it undermine Cabinet Secretariat, Cabinet Secretariat and Cabinet Secretary. Cabinet Secretary. So, White House versus Whitehall. In bracket you can write White House versus Whitehall. Whitehall. White House versus Whitehall. In parliamentary democracy, it is Cabinet Secretariat which has recognition, and not Prime Minister office, not Prime Minister office. The more the rise of PMO, the more the rise of PMO, the more the undermining of cabinet form of government, and responsibility of Council of Ministers, Council of Ministers. In case of US, since it has presidential system, White House plays important role. As Office of President. In case of Westminster model of UK, Whitehall plays important role. Which is equivalent to Central Secretariat in India. And hence they have one power center. In case of India, there are two power centers. Two power centers. PMO and Cabinet Secretariat. PMO and Cabinet Secretariat. And in general, in generic sense, in general, rise of one means fall of other. Rise of one means fall of other. That has resulted into lack of institutionalization of Central Secretariat. That it has not emerged as a strong institution as Whitehall or State Secretariat. And therefore, Indian Secretariat system is personality-led system rather than system-based guiding personality. Such developments have consequence in long run. As system will remain personality driven. At the same time, Cabinet Secretariat and Cabinet Secretary face legitimacy crisis. If PMO and Principal Secretary play important role to make matter worse, the present development is that Principal Secretary and National Security Advisor have been given status of a cabinet rank minister. And hence they have become equivalent to cabinet secretary. Although democracy is based on conventions, and new conventions are introduced. However, ideally it is the cabinet secretary. Ideally it should be cabinet secretary and cabinet secretariat cabinet secretariat, that should play important role. That should play important role and should have primacy. Should have primacy. That is what we can conclude. Somewhere we have to conclude it. It's like government ने कर दिया, अब क्या कर सकते हैं? This bad politics, good economics, bad politics, bad economics, good politics, bad economics. So गवर्नमेंट ने मैटर और भी अब आप जो एनालाइज करना है करते रहो. Right. So they have been given cabinet rank status. Why they have been given cabinet rank status? Because they are playing important role in decision making. National Security Advisor आपको पता ही है. Right. Right. So National Security Advisor, if you find, so he has, this is how the role you'll say. The National Security Advisor, since he is playing such a big role, so why government has given the status of a cabinet minister? So that cabinet rank minister, so that ki principal secretary, cabinet secretary से clash ना हो. They are playing important role without stature, equal status. So they have made that he is also equal to you. National Security Advisor is equal to Cabinet Secretary, and then Principal Secretary is also equal to Cabinet Secretary. अब नए political experts की ज़रूरत है ताकि वो analyze करे कि क्या हुआ ये सब. ठीक है. That is how. But हम लोग summarize करके छोड़ देंगे. Isn't it? So summary primacy should be of Cabinet Secretary. बाकी आप समझते रहो क्या करना है. Right. But these things are not good basically. This result into delegitimization. When you go in the government, then let's say how you want to establish your democracy or convention. So certainly it will not be by Prime Minister office. Ad hocism will remain. Next Prime Minister comes. Now he may not, let's say that go as per this convention. He will change. This is how the situation, getting ready to get ready. जो भी आएगा वो पहले सिस्टम को ही टेम्पर करेगा, फिर टाइम बचेगा तो वर्क करेगा. Isn't it? The system, let's say that, because system is not you have not established a good system. Since you have not established a good system, how you understand that it is a good system or bad system? इसलिए आपको जानना पड़ेगा ये सब. नहीं तो आप बोलोगे कि मैं ऐसे ही बेकार में फेंक रहा हूँ. Isn't it? अरे हाँ. So when you know about the system, right? System, how the government systems are, different systems are, how they change, right? आज किसी ने एक आंसर में लिखा था कि since local bodies have been created, urban local bodies by 74th Amendment Act, so they have legitimacy, right? Even if they have problem, but they have कोई problem नहीं है. Right. These things shows very precarious knowledge. Right? लोग constitutional body क्या है तो क्या है, वो change नहीं हो सकता है. Right. Anyhow, so you have to understand the system of governance, institution, and it does not establish the right system, because certainly when new prime minister, next prime minister will come, so it will change. He may give more preference to cabinet secretariat, or he may try to undo what the present government has done and restore status of principal secretary like 2014 before. That kind of thing.